श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विशजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्ते नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। शुक्लां भरतरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे सुगदातं तपोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मणदये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Previously, we were looking at Pandavas and Kauravas, both sides. They were discussing how long it's going to take to defeat the enemy. Right. So, and Duryodhana asked this question, and Bhishma talks about a month, Drona talks about a month, Kripa about 2 months, and Ashwatthama about 10 days, and things like that. Right. So, Karna says he's going to do it in 5 days, and everybody has their own views. And similarly, listening to this, Yudhishthira asks on the Pandava side, he asks Arjuna how long it's going to take. And Arjuna says that after looking at Krishna, he says that using the weapons he got, especially the Pashupata he got from Shiva himself, he can destroy all three worlds in a twinkle of an eye. So he can do that. But he's not going to use those weapons because that's against the law of the battlefield. Right? So he cannot use it against people who are not capable of defending those kind of weapons. So it's only against who deserves those weapons he can release such a weapon. So he says, I'm not going to use it. But don't worry, he does not give a timeline without using celestial weapons, those weapons, when it is not needed. He does not give a timeline, but he says that you don't need to be worried about this because you have all these people with you, like Bhima, Satyaki, Abhimanyu, Draupadi's sons, Drupada, Virata, many others, right? So all these are here, so you don't have to worry about this. So, and with that, the day approaches, the day when the war begins, that approaches. So in the morning, next morning, when it was a cloudless sky, everybody wake up early in the morning. Duryodhana, he prepares for the battle on the morning. And all of them on the Duryodhana side, they get purified after morning baths and everything. They dress up everything. And then they complete their morning Sandhya and Agnihotra and whatever they do, all those things they do. And then they made the Brahmanas bless them and took up their weapons and they raised their own flags and chariots and everything prepared. So here it says that Brahmanas, they made Brahmanas bless them. So what does that mean? They did not force the Brahmanas to bless. Okay, so they did not go to Brahmanas and say, we feed you, now it is time for you to bless. What they did was they took blessings of the Brahmanas. So when it says they caused the Brahmanas to utter benedictions, it did not mean that they forced the Brahmanas. Okay, the way to force a Brahmana to bless is to touch their feet. Okay, so that's what Duryodhana and others they did. They went and seek blessings from those Brahmanas by touching their feet. Whenever one touches Brahmana's feet, they will bless. No, they will definitely will bless. So whether that Brahmana is qualified or not, it doesn't matter. Always one should seek Brahmana's blessings. And similarly, that's what Duryodhana here did with all his brothers and everyone. They sought blessing of the Brahmanas and Brahmanas blessed them. And all of them, again, very consonant with the Vedas, they have great bravery, they have practiced excellent pose. All of them always gave whatever one wished for, and very skilled in battle as well. So all of them were of great strength. So they confident in one another. They were ready for that battlefield. Vinda, Anuvinda, both from Avanti, and then the Kekas, Balikas, all of them were first set out along with Drona as the lead of that group. And then came Ashwatthama, Bhishma, Jayadratha. They came along with the kings from southern and western countries and the hilly regions, and Shakuni, and the chiefs, kings from eastern and northern regions, the Shakas, Kiratas, Yavanas, Shibis, Vasatis, all those came in their respective divisions. All of them came, and then all those marched as the second division. Then Kritavarman, with with his own troops, he marched along with Trigartas. Then Duryodhana with his brothers, and Sala, Bhurishrava, Shalya, Brihadratha, all of them marched at the behind them. So like that, all of them marched, and Dhritarashtra again, these Duryodhana and his brothers, they made sure that all of them were very fully protected with armor and everything. They took up their positions at the end of the one end of the Kurukshetra, and Duryodhana made sure that that place is fully equipped to support their battle with Pandavas. So it looked like a second Hastinapura, and some people could not even differentiate between what they used to see in Hastinapura to what they are seeing in Kurukshetra, where Duryodhana has made arrangement. Those arrangements were like, it had large pavilions similar to his own. He erected many for everybody to stay, hundreds and thousands of them for the kings and army people. The tents had all sort of things. It had total 5 yojanas tents were built there. And in those tents, all provisions were there for the kings and the army people who were there, the animals, everything that needed, all that was there. And the provisions supplied there for all the kings and their troops, everything was consistent for infantry, elephants, horses, and with all their followers, right? So it's not just the people who go and fight, like the soldiers or the kings or the horses and elephants. It's also the followers, the people who come there to serve them, right? So for all those people, somebody has to cook, somebody has to clean, somebody has to look after them when they're injured, and apply the medicines and all those kind of things, right? So, and also there are people who all the other people who subsist upon mechanical arts and the bards. So like, for example, chariot repairs. Okay, so when it's damaged, somebody has to repair. Somebody has to supply the arrows, bows, and weapons, and all those things. So all those people are there. Singers. So at the end of the day, when you come back to camp, so you need a little bit of entertainment because you're so tired. So you need something. And then the people who praise those kings and things, because they need to be pumped up for the next day battle, right? So those people were there. You've probably seen in the movies or the televisions and other places, dramas and things, where whenever king enters, there will be people who chant the greatness of that king, saying that he is that king, he is this king, he is great, such a great thing, and all those kind of things, right? So those people are also there. The vendors, tradesmen, women, spies. Spies is also important because they look at what Pandavas are doing. And similarly, on the Pandava side, also you will have those people who will be looking for what plan Duryodhana and they are planning for the next day, right? So those spies were there. And there are also a lot of people who came there to witness the battle as well. So for all of them, Duryodhana made sure that the tents and everything was prepared, and all the tents had things that they needed there. And then similarly, Yudhishthira also made sure that all his warriors, everybody from his side, to prepare for the battle and head out. They are led by Drishtadyumna, their commander for the army, for his side. So along with them, so there is Chedi, Kashis, Karushavas, that is Drishtaketu was there, Virata, Drupada, Yudamanyu, Shikandin, all of them were there. And then also Panchala princes, Yudamanyu and Uttamaojas, Satyaki, all of them were ready to leave the camp for the and then for the Kurukshetra for the battlefield. And also again, those of similar to Kauravas, Pandavas also very much having these armor and everything, protection, golden earrings, and they were looking beautiful in those things. And then again, they did all their morning duties and everything. And after that, they similarly, Yudhishthira also had excellent provisions of food for all the kings and troops, their elephants, horses, his followers, all those people. So he made sure that everything is there. And then he ordered Abhimanyu, Brihanta, and Draupadi's sons to march with Drishtadyumna. And then he dispatched Bhima, Arjuna in the second division of forces. And while they were moving, the huge sound made, and it's again the elephants, horses, everything was moving. So then, at last, Yudhishthira himself marched with Virata, Drupada, and other kings on his side. He marched with them. So, commanded by Drishtadyumna, they marched in all of them together. And now they marched in multiple split into multiple columns, marching multiple groups. It looked like a waves, Gangas, waves coming one after another. So they marched in like that order. And then again, Yudhishthira made sure that he ordered 5 sons of Draupadi's sons, Abhimanyu, Nakula, Sahadeva, and all Prabhadrakas, and then 10,000 horses, 2,000 elephants, 10,000 foot soldiers, 5,000 chariots. All this should be placed under the command of Bhima. So he placed all of them under Bhima's command. Then he also placed in the middle division army of Virata, his army with Virata, Jayasena, and then the Yudamanyu and Uttamaojas, Drupada's sons, okay, Yudamanyu and Uttamaojas. So he placed them in the middle division, and then again in this middle division, he Krishna with Arjuna, they marched as well. So they were again placed in that group. So along with them, there were a lot of horse ridden brave warriors there, 5,000 elephants, and a lot of chariots for all of them, and foot soldiers in thousands were also following them. So again, as part of that troops, Yudhishthira himself, there were stationed numerous kings along with him, and there were also thousands of elephants, horses, by tens of thousands, chariots and foot soldiers also by thousands were there. Also Chekitana with his own force, Drishtaketu, and from Chedi king, he was there. Along with them, Satyaki was there. So all of them surrounded by hundreds and thousands of chariots. Along with them, Yudhishthira marched towards the Kurukshetra and prepared for the battle. Again, Kshatrahan, Kshatradeva, they mounted on the chariot. They came behind, protecting from the rear the army. So like this, they all taking up their positions and their divisions. They started prepared for this war. So again, taking all the women and incapable, those who cannot fight, and those people, those who are weak, and all those things, and all the animals carrying the treasures, grains, and all those kind of things. With the help of elephant division, Yudhishthira marched slowly, and he was followed by Sochiti and Shrenimat, and then Vasudeva, Vibhu, all of them with 20,000 chariots and 100 million Dashakoti, 100 million horses. All of them were following there. And then again, so like this, they all started moving. It looked like a huge ocean itself moving with wave after wave coming there. So it like that they are moving. And besides that, elephants that Yudhishthira had in his 7 Akshayani, total around 70,000 of them. He left them, they also followed with Yudhishthira. And then, like this, so Yudhishthira, relying upon his forces and Duryodhana as well, similarly, they prepared for their army for this battle, and Pandavas also followed with a roaring, making huge noise. They all came in thousands and 10,000s. They all beating drums and things like blowing conch shells like that. They all came to that battlefield, preparing for the Kurukshetra war. That concludes the Udhyoga Parva. So they are now, we started Udhyoga Parva after the Virata war. Now we are preparing for the end of Udhyoga Parva. We are preparing for the Kurukshetra war. So between those two wars is the Udhyoga Parva, where we conclude this Udhyoga Parva session. So just to recap what all happened in Udhyoga Parva. So if we start with that first, so as I said, it started with conclusion of Virata War, where Pandavas are identified, right? So we started in the Virata's assembly, right? So where all the Pandavas, Krishna comes there, and all the other kings, everyone comes knowing that Pandavas are alive, and they survived the 13th year incognito mode. So all of them assembled there, and they started debating what to do next. And some of them were suggesting, Satyaki and few others were suggesting, we should attack Kauravas and destroy every one of them. But there were some saying that we should see what Duryodhana does next. So like that they were discussing, and then the suggestion came that they will send Drupada's priest to Hastinapura, right? So with that, Krishna tells everybody to go back to their place and wait for what happens, the outcome of this priest's visit to Hastinapura, right? So all of them go back, and we look at Duryodhana and Arjuna going to Dwaraka and to meet Krishna and ask for his help in the impending war, right? So both of them go there and seek Krishna's help, and Krishna offers help to both of them. Duryodhana gets Krishna's army, and Arjuna gets Krishna himself. So Arjuna asks Krishna to become his charioteer, right? So Krishna agrees to that. Then Arjuna returns, and we see everyone preparing for the battle while these negotiations continue to avoid this war, right? So at that time, Shalya arrives towards Upaplavya. On his way, Duryodhana tricks him. So Shalya agrees to join Duryodhana's army, but he says that he's going to meet Yudhishthira and then come back. So he comes to Upaplavya, right? So there, Yudhishthira asks Shalya's help. He says that whenever that battle takes place with Karna, you will be the charioteer of Karna. At that time, make sure that you discourage and you tell Karna how good Arjuna is, how strong he is, and how weak Karna is, and like that. You make him weak with your words. So that's what he asked, and Shalya promises that. And also, Shalya tells Yudhishthira that don't worry, this suffering everybody has to go through in the life, even Indra has to suffer, right? So then Yudhishthira asks, what is that happened to Indra? And the story we hear about, Indra suffers with Vishwarupa and then Vrutra, right? So first Indra kills Vishwarupa, who had 3 heads, and that's why he was known by another name. Anyone remembers another name of Vishwarupa? He was known as Trishira, 3 heads, right? So in one head, he used to do the chanting and Veda sacrifices and things like one mouth. Another one, he used to drink madhya and alcohol and things like that, madhu. And then another head, he used to do pujas, sacrifices for the asuras. So he was like that. Indra kills him. And then, so Vishwakarma Twashtri creates another son. So that son is Vritra, and Vritra grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and he swallows Indra in the battle, right? So, and then Indra tricks him, and then when he yawns, he comes out of Vritra's mouth, and then they become friends because Vishnu suggests that you become friend of Vritra and then you kill him because otherwise you will not be able to do it. And then Vindra kills him through foam, right? So he invokes Vajra, his weapon, in the foam and kills Vritra through that. And because of these killings and Dadichi's killing, Indra is attached, Brahmahatya sin attaches to Indra and it chases Indra. He leaves heaven and he runs away. So, in the absence of Indra, all the devatas they ask Nahusha to become Indra, king of heaven, right? So Nahusha becomes the Indra and he starts ruling devatas. So he sees Shachi and he desires Shachi, right? So Shachi goes and seeks Brahaspati's help, and then Shachi prays to Ratri, Durga, Devi, and Ratri comes and helps Shachi in finding Indra. So, and then Brahaspati and others perform Ashwamedha, and they distribute the sin to among four people. Four Brahma distributes Indra's Brahmahatya sin among four. Anyone remember which four are there? Did anyone attend Udhyoga Parva sessions? So Brahma distributes that among rivers, trees, women, and earth. So he distributes among them, and then still uh, Indra disappears because he still had the sins, and then Shachi offers makes an offer to Nahusha, asks him to come in a chariot carried by the rishis. So and Agni goes for searching Indra, and then all of them find Indra in a lotus stack, hiding in a lotus stack in a lake, and then they all prize Indra, and then he regains his strength. And at the meanwhile, Agastya curses Nahusha to become a snake. So like that, Indra regains his lordship over Devatas and he becomes the king again. Nahusha is cursed and he comes to earth and lives as a snake. And what happens to that snake we have seen in the Vanaparva. Hope you remember, right? So Nahusha in the form of a snake, we have seen that in Vanaparva. Then, so that's the Shalya narrating the story. Troops assemble, Kauravas and Pandavas troops assemble. So we look at total 7 Akshoini of army troops in Pandava's side and 11 at Kaurava's side. So then we look at Drupada's priest visiting Hastinapura. He did not get any message back, so he returns. And then Sanjaya comes to Upaplavya. He says that Yudhishthira, you are very good. Don't get involved in this kind of war and things. So that's the message from Dhritarashtra, right? So then Sanjaya returns from Pandavas, and when he returns, he goes to Dhritarashtra and says that I'm very angry with you. I'm not going to speak to you, and then he goes away, right? So that worries Dhritarashtra. He scolds Dhritarashtra very much, saying that this is all because of you, your greed. I will tell you all the things that happened in Upaplavya. I will tell you tomorrow in the assembly. I'm not in a mood to talk to you today. I'm very tired. And he goes away. So when Sanjay leaves like that, Dhritarashtra is worried. That night, he calls Vidura and he asks Vidura all the questions, what is good and things, and Vidura explains everything, right? So what is the right thing, what is the rightful, how one should live, and what is truth, what is all the things he says, and that is famously known as Vidura Niti, right? So Vidura gives all those advice to Dhritarashtra. And then he also narrates the story of Virochana and Sudanvan seeking truth from Prahlada, for example, and many other things Vidura narrates during that discussion. And then finally, when Dhritarashtra wishes to know about Atma, Paramatma, Atma Jnana, at that time Vidura says, I'm a Shudra born. I cannot tell you those things. So that's why you can hear this from Sanat Sujata. So he requests Sanat Sujata to come, and Sujata comes, and they explain that there is no death. They say that the death is ignorance. It is the ajnana. Having knowledge, Atma Jnana, is overcoming the death. So that means there is no death. If one has the Atma Jnana, which is what we are looking in Bhagavad Gita as well, right? So Sanasjata says the same thing. So knowledge of Atma is overcoming the death, and the one who does not have it experiences the death. Ignorance is the death, and knowledge is moksha. So he says that. So after learning all that, then next Sanjaya narrates the Pandavas' message in the Kuru assembly, and he concludes saying that victory of the Pandavas is certain. If the war takes place, victory is certain. Then Sanjaya also describes meeting Krishna and Arjuna. He says how they were sitting uh, in with Satyabhama and Draupadi, how they were sitting there with Krishna's legs over Arjuna and Arjuna's legs over Krishna, like that. They were sitting like that. Uh, uh, Arjuna's legs over Draupadi. So they were sitting such a friendly, and he says, explains all that. At that time, so Sanjay narrates all this. While this was happening, again, Bhishma and Drona, all of them suggest, all of them ask King Dhritarashtra to make peace with Pandavas and return the kingdom. Karna and others, they say no, and Bhishma and Karna argue, and Karna becomes angry, and he says that he is not going to participate in the battle as long as Bhishma is there. And then Dhritarashtra asks more about Krishna, and Sanjaya narrates his Krishna's different names and who Krishna is and all those things. Right. And in Upaplavya, similarly, we look at Pandavas discussing next step, Bhima, Arjuna, and all of them suggesting what to do next. And Bhima, Arjuna both say that they want peace, but Sahadeva says that he would have war, he would have a battle. And then after that, Krishna decides to travel to Hastinapura. Duryodhana, knowing that Krishna is coming, he gets an idea that if he arrest Krishna, then Pandavas will become weak. So that's maybe an option. So he considered that as an option. Krishna first meets Kunti and she delivers her message. Krishna then declines to take food at Duryodhana's place, and then he goes to Vidura, and there he eats. The next morning, he delivers his message in Kuruku assembly saying that Pandavas want 5 villages, and if not, this war is going to take place, and decision is with Dhritarashtra. And in that assembly, after Krishna's message, Parashurama narrates the story of Dambodhava and how he was proud of his strength, and he was saying that, is there anyone to defeat me? And then he goes and faces Narayana and Badri, and Nara defeats him with grasses invoked with weapons, so mantras. So he defeats him. So that's Dambodhava, and Parashurama tells Duryodhana that pride is not good, so do not have battle with. And then Kanva narrates the story of Matali's search for his bridegroom for his daughter, right? So a son-in-law. So, and he explains again, Narada takes Matali to all the worlds, and he explains all the different parts of Patala, all the locusts there, and the Nagas and everything. And Matali picks one of the Nagas as his son, but he was named for Garuda, picked him for his food next month. So, but Indra promises him on back of Vishnu's guidance, he promises his protection, right? So Garuda becomes disappointed, and he says that I'm very strong, and like that, Vishnu keeps an arm on him, and that breaks Garuda, right? So that's Garuda's pride is curbed like that. So Kanva again narrates the same thing, saying that don't be proud of your strength. So he suggests the same thing. Then we look at Narada again saying that on obstinacy, he says that do not be such person, and he narrates the story of Galava, right? So Galava repeatedly asking Vishwamitra that I will give you Guru Dakshina, I will give you Guru Dakshina, and then Vishwamitra asking for him 800 horses, all white with one ear black. So he, like that, he Garuda Galava then seeks Garuda's help, and Garuda takes him to all four directions, and we look at all four directions, what's there in each direction, and then while they are flying, they take some time at Sandili's ashrama, and next morning Garuda loses all his wings and everything because of his ill thoughts. Then from there they go to Nahusha, and Nahusha gives his Yayati, Yayati, and there Yayati gives his daughter Madhavi to Galava, and taking her, Galava goes to Ayodhya, and there he marries Madhavi marries Haryashva, and then after that she gets a son Vasumanas, and then after that she goes to Kashi and there marries Divodasa and gets a son called Pratardana, and then she goes to Bhoja, King Ushinara, and there she gets a son called Shibi. And then finally Galava comes to Vishwamitra saying that I could not get another 200 horses, and Vishwamitra marries Madhavi and gets a son, gives a son called Ashtaka. So these four, Vasumanas and Pratardana, Shibi, and Ashtaka, they rescue Yayati from his fall because of his pride. So he falls from heaven because of his pride, and these grandsons rescue him and return him to heaven. So Narada concludes again saying that obstinacy like Galava and the pride like Yayati, this is not good, and he should make peace and hand over the kingdom to Pandavas. Narada also suggests. Then, hearing all this, Duryodhana becomes very angry. He leaves the assembly and then he prepares to imprison Krishna. And Satyaki learns about all this, and Krishna shows his divine form to Bhishma, Drona, Krupa, and then all the other, he leaves that assembly and he says goodbye to Kunti, and then Kunti again reminds, and as through her message, she reminds Pandavas of their duty, and she says that she narrates a story of Vidura and a queen known as Vidura and her son Sanjaya. Right, Sanjaya was very much lost. He did not have any courage, and Vidura encourages him to battle and fight the enemy and regain his kingdom. So that story Kunti narrates. And then Krishna meets on his way back to Paplavya. While returning, he meets Karna, and he narrates Karna about his birth story and Kunti as his mother and all those things, and asks him to come and join the Pandava camp, but Karna declines. Then Krishna sets the date for the war as the upcoming after the Amavasya, new moon day, 7 days, in 7 days that's there, and after that the war can start. Then after this, Kunti goes and meets Karna, and she explains everything, and Karna promises not to kill the other 4 Pandavas, but only Arjuna. So that's the promise from Karna. So after all this, we look at the preparation of the battlefield itself, so preparing and marching. So we look at leaders and battle engagements. Everything is decided who is going to fight whom, like Shikandini facing up to Bhishma, Drishtadyumna to Drona, Bhima to all the Kaurava, Duryodhana and his brothers, Abhimanyu to Karna's sons, and Arjuna with Karna, and things like that, right? So all those battle lines are drawn. All of them march to Kurukshetra, and there Balarama and Rukmi arrive. Balarama goes to Tirthayatra. Rukmi's support was declined by both Pandavas and Kauravas, and so he returns. And then to discourage Pandavas, Duryodhana sends Uluka as a messenger. And then Pandavas also send strong message back, so that scares Duryodhana. Then we look at Bhishma naming Rathis, Ardharathis, Rathis, Atirathis, and Maharathis among both Kauravas and Pandavas, who is what strength and things like that. And he names Karna as a Ardharathi, and that again makes Karna angry, and he again repeats that he's not going to take part in the battlefield till Bhishma is there in the battlefield. Then we look at Amba's story. So because Bhishma says he's not going to fight Shikandini, we look at Amba's story. Kashi Swayamvara, Shalva's rejection, Rama and Bhishma's battle, Amba's penance, Shikandini's birth as a girl, and then marriage to another girl, and then transformation through Yaksha's blessings, and then like that. So we look at that. And then we come to the morning of the battlefield. So where everybody is prepared and in the Kurukshetra with their weapons raised. So that's where we are. That concludes the Udhyoga Parva. So total in Udhyoga Parva, there are 197 chapters in Udhyoga Parva. I think it took us about 36 sessions like this. So that concludes the Udhyoga Parva. So far we have covered, I think in Mahabharata, about 898 chapters. Not the number of shlokas, 898 chapters. Adi Parva had 236, Sabha had 80, Vanaparva had 313, Virata Parva had 72, and Udhyoga Parva 197. So total, I think we had in this Mahabharata series 130 or 31 sessions so far. The next one is Bhishma Parva, it has 134 chapters in it. It has different sections of parvas in it. First one is Jambu Kanda and our Nirmana Kanda, how the world is created. And then we have Bhumi Parva, the different parts of the earth and locations and things like that it explains. And then we got Bhagavad Gita Parva, where Bhagavad Gita comes in from 13th chapter in Bhishma Parva. Bhagavad Gita Parva starts 13th to 42nd chapter. Bhagavad Gita Parva, it's the Bhagavad Gita Parva, so Bhagavad Gita ends in 42nd chapter. But Bhagavad Gita itself starts on 25th, even though 13th chapter, the Parva starts. There are about 12 chapters, the preparation ahead of Bhagavad Gita. And then we start Bhishma's battle. So that's the Bhishma Parva. We will see that in next session. Any question?